Have you ever caught yourself acting one way around your friends, a different way at work, and even a different way around your partner? Well, Carl Rogers called this congruency, and it's being the same person no matter where you are. And if you're in a narcissistic relationship, congruency often disappears and you end up not recognizing yourself anymore. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lori. I'm a former teacher with a master's in school counseling, and now I help women who are feeling stuck in toxic or narcissistic relationships. Or maybe they've left their toxic relationship and they're just struggling to find themselves again and deal with the aftermath of that relationship. So if that sounds like you, follow along. Today we're talking about congruency and what that means, why it matters, how narcissistic relationships strip it away from you. And understanding this can help you see why you felt so lost and how you can reconnect to your true self. Carl Rogers, who is one of the most influential psychologists, described congruency as living in alignment. That's being the same person in your thoughts, your actions, and your feelings. And it's about showing up as your authentic self everywhere without having to hide or without putting on a mask for other people. In a narcissistic relationship, you often learn that certain parts of yourself are not safe to express. Like you can't give your opinion about something, or you can't say no to something. You don't feel safe doing those things. So you may also notice that you laugh less because they criticize your sense of humor. You may notice that you stop sharing your opinions because they belittle or dismiss you. You may even change how you speak or dress just to avoid their comments and the arguments that it may cause. Over time, you become a different person because you realize it's not safe to be yourself around this person. There are different versions of you depending on who you're around. And it becomes exhausting, confusing, and painful. There are some signs that you could be losing congruency in your relationship, and those might be feeling like you're walking on eggshells, realizing that you act completely different with your partner than you do with other people. And I know that was true for me. I felt like I dulled my personality so much that I didn't even recognize who I was anymore because I couldn't act angry, I couldn't act too happy, I couldn't act too proud. So I just dulled my emotions down until I was like a zombie. You also notice that you no longer trust your own reactions or your instincts. You start to wonder, what color do I like the best? What food do I like to eat? What's my favorite? If I could move anywhere, where would I move? You just lose your total sense of self. Okay, if this is resonating with you and it sounds like your situation, you might benefit from scheduling a peaceful clarity call with me. And that's where we have a chat for about 45 minutes. You tell me your situation, and then I can give you some steps forward to get you going so that you can either improve the relationship that you're in or start making a plan to leave that relationship. I'll leave the details in the description below. So if you are living out of alignment, it causes a big toll on your health because you feel exhausted. You always are in fight, flight, or freeze mode. You lose the trust that you once had in yourself and your instincts. You no longer are listening to that teeny voice inside of you that's telling you, this is not right, this is not comfortable, this is not making me happy. And it's easy to start believing some of the allegations from the narcissist because you don't even recognize the person that you used to be. And you start thinking, maybe I am the problem because, I am acting in ways that are not me. That's not how I usually behave. And I don't like the version of myself that I see. But the gap between who you are inside and who you are portraying to the world is completely different. That gap is growing wider and wider every day that you stay in this relationship the way that it is. So some of the things that you can do to start bringing yourself out of this incongruency are, first of all, just being aware that it's going on. Begin noticing where you feel more like your true self. Is it with certain friends? Is it at work? Is it around your family? And who and what environments help you feel safe and feel authentic? I remember when I first left my ex, my narcissistic ex, the day he moved out, I went and spent time with all my children, and they were just talking and making jokes and making me laugh. And I laughed so hard and so loud, and I was like, I don't think my children have ever seen me laugh like that, or if they have, it's been so many years. So, I started coming out of that shell that day. It took a while, though. I would even say this past summer, which was 2 years, I was still noticing some things, and maybe forever I will notice changes, but I was still noticing things that, like, I had just blinders on, things that I couldn't see, and I'm starting to wake up to them. It's crazy. So number 2 is who you surround yourself with. Spend more time with those people who help you feel supported, secure, and confident. And then number 3 is honesty. Practice being honest. There was an activity where you pick out your top 5 to 10 values, and you can Google a values list. But one of the top ones for me was honesty, and I was noticing that I'm allowing him to be dishonest, and I am being dishonest because I was afraid of his reaction to certain things. So, I might give a little white lie about money that I spent, or bills that I owe, or places that I'm going, because I didn't want to hear the strong reaction. I didn't want to deal with the silent treatment for days. And those happen anyways. So, start practicing being honest with yourself and with your safe friends. Start with those and your family. And then speak up about your preferences and set small boundaries. Like, no, I don't like sushi. I'm not going to eat it. That's a boundary you can start to set. Or, if you're craving pasta, tell people that you're craving pasta. Don't just say, I'll eat wherever you want to go. That's what I used to do. Set a boundary like, please let me know if you're going to be late. I don't like waiting around by myself. That's something that happened with a friend of mine. She was like 30 minutes late for our lunch, and I had no way of getting in touch with her because she had phone troubles. And so, I should have spoken up and said, let me know if you're going to be that late. Then number 4 is journaling. And this really helped me a lot because a particular type of journaling is where you write down all your thoughts, especially your deep emotions, your anger, your feelings about this partner that you're with that's causing you to dull your emotions and get out of alignment with yourself. And then what you do is you destroy the paper so that they can't read it or find it, because with a narcissistic partner, they always go through your stuff. They go through your phone, they go through your journals, all your stuff. So if you write it and then you destroy it, you can feel secure that they're not going to read it. And a lot of times I did that in the Evernote app. Evernote is an app that you can set privacy controls on. You can hide files, and I'm pretty sure my ex didn't even know what Evernote was. So That's an option. You can hide it in your email somewhere. You can hide it in Google, send it to somebody. You just erase it after you write and then delete it so that you make sure that it's nowhere to be found. It's not in your trash. It's not anywhere. So, and then when I wrote on paper, I would just rip it into teeny tiny shreds and throw it in the trash. And that's kind of cathartic, actually, ripping that paper up, writing out some really awful thoughts and then tearing them up helps release some of those emotions. So number 5 is healing work, like working with a therapist, working with a coach or a support group. Those things can help you close the gap between who you are in your inner self and your outer self. So those are just some ideas that can help you out. And then finally, think about that. Am I who I am everywhere? Whether the narcissist is congruent or not, ask yourself, am I who I am everywhere? Like, am I who I am when I go out into the world? Am I who I am when I go to work? Am I who I am when I am at home with my partner? If you don't feel a sense of alignment, then that's a symptom of being in a relationship with someone who thrives on this distortion. That's part of their control and their power over you. And then by working towards congruency between your inner and your outer life, you'll experience more peace. And not only that, you'll be rebuilding clarity and self-trust along the way. So if you stayed to the end, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if there are any topics that you want to know around narcissism and our narcissistic partners that you would like to cover, that you would like for me to cover in any future video. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.